Mike, check. Justin Hunt, it's all happening. Thank you to everybody rocking with the channel. Thank you to everybody subscribed through the channel, who shared a video, shared a link. It's priceless. Big thank you to everyone who's donated. If you'd like to donate, hit the Cash App that's right up there or the link in the description. Big thank you to all the members, everybody who's been a member of this channel, helping to support this mission. I'm blessed and highly favored. Thank you guys so much. That's really the best way to support this channel. There's a link in the description for that. You get videos early, you get a few other surprises. And big thank you to everyone who's a member of the Discord community and all the mods holding it down over there. 9-second applause to you all. All right. I saw this story in GQ and I loved it. Now, Clipse obviously is one of the biggest stories of the year. One of the top 2 albums of the year, rap albums of the year, in my opinion. GNX and Let God Sort 'Em Out by the Clipse. They set the stage and the standard this year for what a rollout looks like or can look like in 2025. In 2025, they had the most talked about rollout of the year. We have a video on this channel breaking down the rollout and the reaction to the project. I mean, it's phenomenal listen all the way around. And they started that rollout with a highly ballyhooed conversation with GQ, where they talked about how the project was initially supposed to release on Def Jam. Universal stepped in and said they didn't feel comfortable with Kendrick Lamar's verse on Chains and Whips. And so they essentially dropped Clipse from the label. Now, it was more of a buyout situation. Clipse's previous manager, Stephen Victor, talked about that in a Billboard Pro article. I believe he has since been relieved, if I'm not mistaken. I think I saw that story last week. And so they moved the project over to Rock Nation, home of Hove, and they put it out, and the project's been a tremendous success. Not only is it up for Rap Album of the Year, which I think was expected, but it overshot its target and is also nominated for Album of the Year, right? So Album of the Year at the Grammys this year is Bad Bunny, Debbie T. Armas Photos. It is Sabrina Carpenter, Man's Best Friend. It's Lady Gaga, Mayhem, I think that's called. It's Leon Thomas Mutt. Said, baby, I'm a dog, I'm a mutt. Woo! Love that song. It is Tyler, the Creator's Chromacopia. It is GNX from Kendrick Lamar and Let God Sort 'Em Out. So for the first time ever, we have 3 rap albums that are in the Album of the Year category at the Grammys. I'd argue 5 hip hop albums, right? Because I look at Bad Bunny as a hip hop artist. And I think that Leon Thomas Mutt has a lot of hip hop all up in it. You know what I mean? There's a lot of traditional R&B, but there's a lot of hip hop in that mug. Maybe you want Mutt with Chris Brown. Maybe you want Mutt with Freddie Gibbs. 1-second applause. And so this really is a banner year when it comes to nominations at the Academy with the Grammys. And Clipse is still on their rollout. Now, this is a bit different than a rollout. The project is out now, but this is, part of the Grammy push. And what we're going to see now, between now and the end of the year, until the beginning of the year, we're going to see a number of artists put out deluxe projects. We're going to see a number of artists put out different interviews, different features, different singles. We may see people put out whole new projects just to keep the conversation going around the projects that were nominated for the Grammys. And this goes across all genres. And so part of where Clipse is now is additional press. And so they've sat down again with Fraser Thorpe over at GQ to talk about the year that was. Now, I'm not going to read the entire conversation, but there are some really great talking points in this piece. So here are Malice and Pusha T sitting with Clipse for GQ. Clipse on Grammy hopes, their new album rollout, and making new music. We'll jump to the conversation here. GQ, one thing that we heard this year was a lot of people were really into the rollout, especially the intention behind it. But the funny thing is that the way you rolled the album out was traditional in a sense, but I think that speaks to a feeling that was missing and you had to help restore it. I'm trying to restore the feeling. Shout out to Hove. 1-second applause. Pusha T, you got to understand, we're creating this music, but we're trying to really recreate the enthusiasm amongst ourselves. We got the enthusiasm, but we're trying to see it and feel it in the world. I'm not getting up, going to 7-Eleven, picking up a mag, arguing with my man about somebody got 3.5 mics. Those were the days. Those were the days, right? And it's not even just the magazine ratings, even blogs. Blogs for a very long time. Whenever a new album dropped, I was checking all the blogs online for what the rating might be, like that night, the next day, right? Like reviews would come out within 48 hours of an album, right? And so just that type of enthusiasm that they're talking about here, I miss that so much. Most discovery now takes place on streaming. And I think that has a lot to do with maybe the lack of impact that a review can have. Also, I think that user scores, I don't even want to say supplant a review, because a review at least gives you context and perspective. The user score just gives you, how many stars it has when it shows up on the streaming platform. They don't necessarily tell you why. I guess it can tell you why, but nobody looks to see why. And those scores now have a generation who will look to see how many stars a song has and dictate on whether the song is good or not. So they'll go through a project, look at the track list, see which are the most popular songs, start with those. If they don't like those, they move on. It's just a product of the era. But I do miss what Pusha T is talking about here. That enthusiasm and going to 7-Eleven, open up a magazine, going to Eckerd's, going to Walgreens with your mom, and she's over there shopping for whatever she's getting in the drugstore, and you over there in the magazine section, going through all the magazines to see what projects are rated the highest. I miss that so much. 1 second applause. Those touch points aren't really out there like that anymore. People aren't sitting down with Frasier. They're not. They won't do it, bro. They're surprise dropping the music so they don't have to get no feedback on nothing. This is what they'll do versus like, yo, let me put it on the table. We're really standing on it. People talk about standing on business. This is the best way to do it musically. I agree. 1 second pause. GQ. And then it means that much more when you come out on stage and say album of the year. Exactly. When you talk about the nostalgia of hip hop journalists, what it meant being hot in the streets, the chatter, the opinions, the lunch table arguments, the barbershop arguments, that's what the whole mindset of that rollout was about. And I think we saw a pretty good digital version of that this year. I mean, we're seeing that right now. One of the big discussions that's been happening in the fan base marketplace is GNX or Let God Sort Them Out. And there's been a number of people who are fans of both projects who have been advocating for the greatness of both of them. And then there's been a lot of people who have been super fans of Kendrick or Clipse who are arguing vehemently that there is some sort of agenda going on, right? That to me is an extension of barbershop conversations. That to me is an extension of lunch table conversations. So I think we still have that. I'm not sure if we have that from a cultural basis the same way, but we definitely have it when it comes to Stan Wars. In the midst of that, did you feel a sort of protectiveness over your brother? One thing that came up when we spoke last time was the foolishness that can surround the industry. Bringing him back into the fold, was there a sense of, I'm not going to bring you into that shit show? Pusha T, that was definitely my mentality. But I feel like in my heart, I was like, we're going to get everything due to us. It's got to look a certain way, be a certain way, feel a certain way. The trifecta of myself, my brother, Pharrell, there's nobody else we need musically to do what we got to do. Just our circle. People who are not with the agenda. I don't want to be connected to it. Selfishly, I don't want nothing to do with anymore. How about that? That's just what it is. And he laughed there. This was a talking point. Maybe it was the GQ conversation, one of the conversations that they did at the beginning of the rollout. Pusha T was talking about how he didn't want to bring Malice around Ye. I think maybe it was in Wyoming. And he was talking about he was protective of Malice and Malice's energy, bringing him around Kanye. I think he ended up going to Wyoming, if it's Wyoming, if I'm not mistaken, because I know that they were both on the Jesus is King project. And I know Malice, I believe, was on the last song on Almost Dry as well, which was half produced by Kanye West. So, it's an interesting sort of bookend on that initial conversation that started at the beginning of this rollout. Back to the conversation. Not to get too meta, but you got criticism for some interviews, like ours and others, about being confrontational, airing out grievances with the likes of Kanye and Travis Scott. Some people would say that you're stoking that to promote. Malice, yeah, but look who's saying that though, because on the other end of that spectrum, there are people who really see clearly that Pusha don't lean on that kind of stuff. And look how long he sat on what has been going on. But that's what they do on the other side. So they think that we play that over here, but nah, we don't. And we don't snitch and we don't tell. Another big talking point around this rollout, right? And there's a lot of people who, particularly in recent weeks, I will say, as the debate between Let God Sort Them Out and GNX has heightened, there have been a lot of people who said that the project really only did numbers or only stood out because Pusha T started the rollout talking junk about everybody. And let me tell you something. We don't care. The music is what makes that conversation relevant. You can't just go outside and talk junk and the music not be dope and have it mean something. I think we kind of saw that this year with Travis Scott, right? Because Travis Scott, he put out oh my God, I can't think of the name of his group right now, but he dropped almost like a surprise project or moved the date up for Jack Boys 2, if I'm not mistaken. He dropped it on the same date as Clipse so that Clipse wouldn't get a number one debut. I think Jack Boys 2 got the number one. Clipse ended up getting number 4, if I'm not mistaken by that. Put Travis Scott recently on stage, this Pusha T again. That Jack Boys 2 project was not it. Travis Scott's got a lot of great music, he's got an incredible catalog. He's got phenomenal bodies of work. And those bodies of work do not include Jack Boys 2.
Tomato.
And so, but that's another example of what they mean. If that project itself was doper, then the criticisms that Travis Scott had about Pusha T would resonate loudly like a siren in the distance. And that just wasn't the case. And I don't think that's the case with what he said on stage recently. We shall see what happens next. Let me know what you think about Pusha T versus Travis Scott, though. Inside Good Music beef. It's all happening. Standing on it. Say what you have to say. That's it. Pusha T. You can't let the journalism be a main focus of the rollout and you tiptoe around shit. I wasn't going to come in and give you scenarios, but tiptoeing around the stories, I'll take the criticism. It's fine. But never call me a liar because I never lie. I never lie. Let me tell you something. I think lying's for bitches. If you lie about shit, that's because you're scared of something. And I'm not scared of anything or anybody. So what I say is what I say. Yeah, 1 second pause to that. That makes me think about this Sydney Sweeney news cycle. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Sydney Sweeney. She's on Euphoria with Zendaya. And Sydney Sweeney just had another movie bomb. She's had 2 bombs in a row, maybe 3 bombs in a row this year. This one was Christy, which is a biopic about a female boxer. Okay, and so Sydney Sweeney's movie is one of the worst performing movies of all time. It had 2,000 theaters. And nobody went to it, and she's catching a lot of flack because she also starred in that Good Jeans ad with American Eagle earlier this year. I think it was in July when the ad came out. And it's a dog whistle to eugenics. And so since that ad has dropped, none of these movies have performed well. And I think that kind of makes sense because when you pander to certain bases really just like what you represent, maybe more than they like what it is you actually do. And there's a lot of people when it comes to people who agree with eugenics or some of these broader conversations that have been happening lately, who really like the way Sydney Sweeney looks and they like her being the face of their movement, but aren't necessarily going to go see an art film biopic about a woman boxer who's abused by her husband and also actually a lesbian. Like, those two markets are very rarely ever aligned. But Sydney Sweeney did an interview with this publication here, GQ, a couple of days ago. And the GQ asked her if she had any comments about that. And about the reaction to that American Eagle ad. And Sydney Sweeney sat there and said, when I have something to say about something, you'll hear about it, right? She didn't say, hey, I'm not with eugenics. Hey, it's just a jeans ad, but I'm not racist or anything like that. She didn't say anything. Like, she basically tiptoed around what the thing was and didn't please anybody. And so she's been catching hell all week. I thought about doing a separate story on this channel. I'm not quite sure if it's my beat all the way. I mean, do you guys really want to hear me sit here and talk about what is happening in pop land? I think there's a culture element in there that could make sense. Let me know in the comment section if you want to see what I had in mind with that piece, and maybe I'll put it together. As of right now, it's tabled. But that's what happened with Sydney Sweeney. She made journalism a part of the rollout and promotion of this film and tiptoed around the thing that people want to hear. She didn't take a stand either way. I think maybe she thought it was best for her brand, but now she's been so politicized and her brand's been so politicized that, I'm not sure she's in control of it anymore. Either way, I agree with what Pusha T says here. You got to address the stuff if you're going to address the stuff. 1 second applause. So take it back to this time last year. I'm sure you were probably a little bit frustrated with having this great body of work on deck, but the BS label politics holding it up. But in a way, it's like there's a sense of divine timing here because this year is unfolding incredibly in a way that could have only unfolded with that series of events, right? Pusha T. It's something that I feel like I've learned, and I've learned it a lot more from watching my brother too. He doesn't get ruffled by anything that happens. He goes with the flow of everything. I've never had that approach, man. I try to keep everything in line, in order. This is how it's supposed to go. And with this particular project, man, I couldn't have been more wrong in having that attitude. Malice. Well, I've always had the same approach he had. I learned this approach. I was taught this approach. In what ways did both of you come to learn that? Malice, because life will hand you a bunch of curveballs, and trying to be in control and manage everything could put you at your wit's end. And then it still happens the way that it was meant to happen. So that's just something that I learned in this 16-year absence for sure. Pusha, I'm picturing that classic video of you banging on the wall yelling to drop numbers on the boards, classic track. I know you were doing that this time last year. No, for sure. Are you kidding me, man? And to think we had the heat. When we make it, we are extremely confident about it and eager to put it out. It's all about letting people hear it, you know what I'm saying? And just getting yourself in the conversation and taking their critiques with the good, with the bad, that's the type of energy we thrive off of. It's always competitive, but it's always about hearing the opinions and just being like, you know, they might be a little right about that or whatever the case may be. I just love to hear it all, but not being able to get it out, man, that's stifling. We know what the hell we doing at all times. When it's cooked, and we know it's cooked. There's never extras and leftovers. It's not a lot of going back and retinkering and retooling. I let Pharrell do that on the production stuff, but as far as these raps go, no way. Can we talk a little bit about the process? Pharrell was cooking up a la carte, right? I think you said this to Joe Budden about how you have to sometimes tell Pharrell you don't want to scale things back. What is that process like to fine tune everything where the three of you have been working together for so long, but still chasing new highs? Pusha T. I think we find it's a lot of different emotions that go into that process, but then you get into the stubbornness of knowing exactly what you want and not wanting to waver. I'm extremely passionate about hardcore lyric-driven hip hop. Me too. 1 second applause. I think that's where you show your skill set. I don't think that ever goes out of style. I don't either. 1 second applause. And I don't think a lot of people can do it. I don't think a lot of people can do it with taste and swag. So if that's not the target or the bullseye after song 1, 2, or 3, I'm getting pissed. P's like, nah, man, you need these colors. I'm like, man, listen, you better get to it. That's actually funny. 1 second applause. I think a lot of people are, into vibes. A lot of people are into productions. There's a range of things that people are attracted to when it comes to rap and when it comes to hip hop music. And I'm a lyrics guy. Y'all hear it every week. 1 second applause again. More. Sometimes we'll be in there and P will be tinkering with something that we absolutely hate, but you sit back and you let him go through his process. While he's going through his process, he's also watching you and he's knowing that you're not moved, and he'll find something or strike a chord that actually does make you move. And he'll be like, oh, I got you. Strip everything else down that he was doing and then hone in on that. And then he starts building again. Was there any song that made the cut that you remember going like that? Malice, Mike Tyson, Blow to the Face. Such a great song. All you keyboard killers in your feelings. Mad you ain't trending. Mad got you tricking on your winded. Mad I don't hit them, I just spend them. Gunning and I'm grinning. With that Bugatti in my, it's so crazy. 1 second applause. Love that. And it's like, it's all vocal. all the production is dropped out in the beginning and then it comes in later and the beat switch is nuts. Really glad he said that. GQ. That's my favorite track, I think. That or POV, which were 2 songs I believe Pusha almost cut. Malice, I started hearing whispers that song was not going to be on it, and there was no way in the world I was going to let that happen. Pusha T, hey man, play his F up too. Play his F up too. Shout out to Day Day from next Friday. 1 second applause. I believe the POV portion of it was a lot of production tinkering, and I was watching Pharrell battle himself, even with the switching of the beat on Malice's verse. That part is so cold. The beat switch is hard. I agree with you, Frazier. 1 second applause. Malice, and see, that speaks to what we're saying about the process, because I was hot that beat change. When I write to a beat and flow, it's like I'm married to it. It's the canvas, it's the foundation. It's what I'm laying to. So I don't want it changed later. But the response to the switch has been crazy. So you have to trust Pharrell that he knows what he's doing. When you guys describe it that way, I can understand why you're more reticent to rap on other producers' beats now. I just don't think everybody's a producer. I think there's a huge difference between beat makers and producers. 1 second applause. There's a lot of cohesiveness that our fans are accustomed to in the raps, in the production, in the flow, and the marriage of it all. I don't know if other producers' vision is as intricate. I mean, there's a lot of people with dope beats out there, but there's always been a big emphasis put on composition in dealing with Pharrell, even as far back as the Neptunes. So I think that has set us apart in all of our albums. I think that's what actually broke the Clipse through. A lot of talk this year has been about Malice, especially coming back after so long, embodying pretty much every verse. You guys are 50-50 on the album, I'd say. Pusha T, oh really? 50-50? There's been a little 70-30, 80-20 from what I'm hearing. Great debate. What do you guys think? Do you think the Clipse album is 50-50? Or do you think it's 70-30, 80-20 in one direction or the other? I think here they're referring to Malice's direction. I think that Malice, being as sharp as he was, caught people so far off guard that boosts the impact of his verses in a lot of people's minds. I also think that people forgot how dope Malice was because he's been gone for so long, and the fact that he was so able to nimbly weave, a lot of faith-based perspective, a lot of spirituality within coke rap and keep it modern. That's something particularly I don't think we've really heard that much on a mainstream level in rap outside of Kendrick Lamar. Maybe J. Cole here and there. Chance the Rapper this year, but that came after this. Maybe that's it. Yay, a long time ago. I'm not sure. I think that balance between, the spirituality of it, the faith-based nature of it, but also just gritty street raps, coke raps at the same time. That balance also juts out like the Freedom Tower when considering the landscape that we're currently under with what's happening in broad rap music that's being released. So I think Malice got it. I agree with Frazier's point here that Malice has pretty much bodied everything he's dropped this year. That verse on Jid's album is crazy too. But let me know what you think about that in the comment section. Frazier, you're building the framework for Gene to come in and body it. So I wanted Gene to talk about that process from his point of view. Malice, what I think it is, as far as me and the verses, Pusha's been the only one rapping all this time to me in lyric-driven hip-hop. So I think people do get taken aback a little bit when they understand that he has a brother and we come from the same school. But this has always been our setup. This isn't new. Push will come in. Usually he'll do the first verse. Most times Push will make it to the studio before me. So it starts building from that point. I don't mind being the cleanup man. And that's how Hell Have No Fury always felt to me. I felt like majority of that project is Pusha setting it up and then Malice cleaning up. And it's a great balance that they have. Everyone's calling it a comeback, but it's not technically because you were making your own music in between. What did you learn about yourself during that time as a solo artist? Malice, I can appreciate that question because I didn't really start hearing how much people enjoyed my 2 solo projects until we were out doing interviews. But I definitely understand why it didn't get the mainstream light. But I even feel that on those projects, I was rapping my best. What I learned about myself is what I was learning in life, my experiences, the inventory that I was taking on myself, the corrections that I needed to be made. I just felt totally free to speak it. I wasn't sharing a platform. I didn't have to share anything. It's just me uninhibited going crazy. It was definitely therapeutic. And then how do you apply that when you come back into the group? Malice, because it's applicable, period. Everything that I've learned, everything that I've experienced, and the fact that I've walked the walk that I walked makes me relatable. And it's not like some strange doctrine that I'm talking about. People know me. They see me. They see my highs. They see me in my lows. They see me in my conflict. So you know everything about me. So if you know anything about me, you can't say that guy's crazy. If you ever related to me, you can't say he's off. You know what I'm saying? You know who I am. You've been seeing who I am all this time. You've experienced my music, my art. So I'm definitely who you think I am. You also get to talk that ish again too. Malice, oh man. When the album's in the midst of coming out and people ask if there will be more, it feels like a crazy thing to ask because you guys are just putting this one out. But now that we're at the end of the year, is there any trepidation to continuing with Clipse because this has gone so perfectly? Pusha T, no, I don't think so. At the end of the day, the skill set is speaking volumes. Malice, it'd be so easy, man. It's not even about us trying to outdo the last thing we've done. It's just so much opportunity. When people speak about the album, it is incredible because I'm hearing healing. I feel like they have lost the sense that this kind of intellect exists. Where have y'all been? And that's no kind of arrogance. It needs to be shared. Everybody needs to uplift each other. We heard from the beginning that the feeling has been restored. So it's not like people weren't aware of it. We just haven't had it in so long and we're bringing it to you. And I believe that there's going to be more. Pusha T, there's more music coming, man. Malice, how could we not? Now, this speaks to the broader shift that people have been talking about, alluding to since this great Shakespearean shakedown, Kendrick versus Drake 2024. And I think, honestly, the Grammy Album of the Year category, Rap Album of the Year category speaks to that. Sure, these are established artists. We'd love to see it happening with young people as well. I do believe that people set the stage for energy and tones. And so things that are happening in the macro zeitgeist always have an impact. And I think from a macro standpoint, if you look around the world, people are going through a lot of real stuff. And I'm not sure how much detaching anyone can afford to do anymore. But he's talking about we haven't heard healing in music in a long time, right? We've heard it with Kendrick. We've got examples of it with Clipse. You got examples of it now with Tyler, the Creator, Chromacopia on Like Him, where he ends the song by saying that he finally realized that his father actually wanted to be in his life. You know, you're seeing various examples of how certain conversations just aren't rocking anymore. Megan Thee Stallion just dropped her new song 2 weeks ago, and she's catching all kinds of criticism for taking a pretty sweet Kissing You love song and turning it into a pee-popping anthem. You know what I mean? Like, there's just certain energy that people are ready to shift from. People are gravitating towards different types of a broader range of energies and ideas right now. And I think what Malice says right here actually speaks to that as well. I'm actually working on a bigger piece when it comes to that. Look out for that in the future, but 1 second applause to that quote. How are you guys feeling about going into award season? The Grammy conversation gets split amongst hip hop. Sometimes people are like, do we want that validation? Does it matter? You got to understand, to us, we have already been validated with our art form and the music that we put out. So to be able to walk into a Grammy nomination, you got to first have the product, then you connect to the plug. You know what I'm saying? GQ, I'm hearing buzz for beyond the rap categories too. So it sounds like this took place before the nominations came out. And we have now confirmation that they have been nominated for Album of the Year. 1 second applause. Pusha T, man, I'm hearing it. Bringing home that hardware would mean everything. We going for it. We made the album. We looked at it like this is that strong. We need to take something home for this. So when the album dropped and the response is crazy, did you get the my bad text from Hove? Pusha T, nah, we didn't get that text. There's always time for a Hove verse in our eyes, whether he looks at it like that or not. That's just how we think. We make music on such a level that we'll always be able to find one and be like, hey man, this is for you. And what this is was, once they moved the project over to Rock Nation, there was conversation or speculation or hope that Jay-Z would also be on Let God Sort Him Out. That didn't happen, but they're still putting out more music. We'll see where this goes. I'm gonna close with this last part right here, but this really is a great conversation. I'll put the full link in the description so you can take a look at what I did not cover here. But I like this part here. How are you guys feeling about the state of rap overall? It's been an interesting year. There's a lot of different surges and different dramas and tensions and also boredom. How does it feel in 2025 looking out from it, especially when you guys can be so hermetically sealed and just watching it play out? Malice, I think it's great for us. Understatement of the conversation. 1 second applause. Pusha T, yeah, I think it's great for us, but I think we also have blinders on right now to everything that does not root itself in the skill set. So some shit is fun, it's cool, but when it comes to this, it's like, man, This is speaking volumes over everything. Let God Sort Him Out is speaking volumes over everything to me. I'm watching people, I'm watching artists. People now care about the rollout. Now they want to sit down. Malice. And the curtain's been pulled back. The fans know what they ain't been getting. Pusha T. And they know the tricks of it all. They see it all. They hear it all. They know what's up. You got to give it to Clipse. They definitely left their impact on 2025. And with their music, of course, with the project, of course, but bringing back the rollout. And we've seen a lot of great rollouts over the course of the year. I think Cardi B did a great rollout. I appreciated what Chance the Rapper did with this rollout. And then that, by proxy, you could look at other rollouts that didn't go as well, and you kind of, in my opinion, it kind of dampered, some music that people have been looking forward to or were looking forward to. I think Joey Badass had the opportunity I think he squandered an opportunity with his rollout. I think Drake's rollout still remains to be seen. But this is a really great conversation. I'm a big fan of Clipse, as you guys know, and Let God Sort Him Out and GNX, my two top rap albums of the year. We'll see how this plays out at the Grammys. Let me know who you think should take home Album of the Year and Rap Album of the Year. My name is Justin Hunt. Like and subscribe to the channel. Follow at The Company Man on everything, including The Company Man podcast, wherever you listen to podcasts. It's all happening.
Justin Hunt is here, it's all happening. Justin Hunt is here, it's all happening. The mathematical breakdown of this mighty game of rap we in. It's boom bapping in. Systematical culture views that's radical, it's all happening. Shaking hands and dapping it. Life through the lens of hip hop, from trip hop to yes, dog, you don't stop, you don't stop. Justin Hunt is here, it's all happening. It's all happening, yes, it's all happening. Justin Hunt is here, it's all happening. It's all happening, yes, it's all happening.